One big thing to take into consideration is how you can manipulate the resistance to get a desired result. So when it comes to resistance, we always think typically about loading. How can we make things harder or load the body? But don't realize that depending on how we position the resistance, we can change how the body moves in response to that stimulus, okay? So for example, if we look at just the traditional step up, okay? So I have some people that even have trouble doing a body weight step up as they come down. They might just fall right down or have difficulty staying controlled and aligned. In some instances, what we can do is add a plate or a dumbbell, something in front of the body, so I know they quickly fall to the ground. There's no control or no eccentric lengthening through that movement. So what we can do here as we come up is come up with a counterbalance, and then I have something to help me or assist me lower down. So that counterbalance is pushing out in front. I'm able to slightly lean forward, keep my weight loading that front leg, and slowly come back down. So that's a way we can use a plate as, again, still challenging, obviously. It's harder on the shoulders. It's a little more weight on the leg because I'm adding 10 pounds to that. But it's a way to assist and improve the movement itself, the quality of that lowering down towards the ground. From there, if you feel like, and you really kind of master the movement using a plate out in front, what we can also do is hold a dumbbell goblet position, okay? Slightly different, not as far out in front, takes a little more control through the leg because we don't have that long lever reaching out that's assisting us, but still same principle, something in front of the body allows us to lean forward to be in a better hip bias position throughout this step up to really control the lowering back down. Okay? Same thing, so assists not as much as that plate, but that's another way. From there, what we can do is go to traditional. Yeah, and sometimes people always jump to this version and think, okay, I need to load more weight onto this. Always recommend finding which variation of these provides you the most success, creates good quality movement, good alignment through that knee. The knee's always pointing straight, how we're not losing that alignment, and we're able to lower down under control. Then from there, we want to go to traditional dumbbells. Obviously here we have a lot more sway, right? The dumbbell is not fixed against the body. It's not reached out at fully extended arms. So now we actually have to control a little more momentum, where I see people typically lose balance with this a little more if they're not familiar. But coming up in traditional, step ups, dumbbells by the side. Okay, a little different now. So already doing that, what I noticed was my knee had a tendency to come more forward. I don't have that counterbalance. Once I add that counterbalance, you can see how my shin changes. My knee is more aligned over my ankle, but as I add dumbbells, it forces me then my body to have to go over that weight a little bit more. So you can see how these small little changes just change the kinematics, how that body's moving and responds to the stimulus. And then from there, what we can do last to adjust that one more time is have a plate overhead. So adding resistance overhead increases or elevates the center of mass, okay? So usually get right around this belly button area is that center of mass. But now as we put a plate overhead, depending on how heavy that weight is, that center of mass will start to go higher. So now what this does is add more demand through the core. And you'll see there's a tendency for the body to want to extend. So we really need to make sure we're generating some good stiffness and control around the abdominals, obliques, these muscles that are keeping or preventing the back from going into extension. So here, try to fully extend the arms, come up into that step up, and nice and controlled, back down, okay? So I can feel a little more unstable because it's higher up, center of mass is elevated, and more stress through the core. So those are a couple different ways you can modify exercises. It doesn't have to be just specifically the step up. I mean, we can do that with the squat, we can do that with the lunge, we can do that with so many different exercises. Just changing the position, fully extended arms, goblet position, traditional, more like a suitcase hold by your side, and then overhead. I definitely recommend try that and try to adjust those variables, manipulate those variables for the exercise you struggle with. If you know you really can't control something, balance is off, you have knee pain. Again, a lot of my people have knee pain. Once we go into step-ups for the first time, we actually like to put a plate out in front, because if you look at my knee position here, I'm able to sit back into my hip, my knee's not going too far towards my toe, compared to if I was doing a normal step up. You can see already just me setting up there, feeling like I have to load the leg to come up, my knee's going so much more forward. So depending on your situation, look at these variables, because just a small little manipulation, doing the same exact movement never changed through any of those, but manipulating those variables can allow you to get into a position for more long-term success.